The mission statement for the Lake Mills Area School District is preparing all of today's students for tomorrow's opportunities. I'd like to call the meeting to order and invite those of you present to stand and the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll try that virtually just for fun. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with justice for all. Okay, may I have a roll call, please?
Rachel Davies.
Here.
Don Delaney. Amy Litcher.
Here.
David Radel.
Here.
Robert D'Imperio.
Here. Okay, we're looking at any revisions to the agenda, and at this time I would ask if any board member would like any items from the consent agenda to be moved into the regular agenda. Well, hearing none, I would then entertain a motion for approval of the agenda as presented.
I move that the board approve the agenda as presented. Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We'll now move into the board reports. And one of the first things that I would like to do is to take this opportunity to recognize our two student board members, Maggie Pulsine and Camden Schultz, who spent time with us this past year, made a nice contribution to the board, and wanted to express our gratitude and thanks for the time that they took and their participation. If they are tuned in, I guess that I would ask if they'd like to share things that they might have learned joining us.
I thought it was a very good opportunity to be able to see kind of how everything goes on in the school board, and it was really great to be able to be a part of it this year. So thank you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I agree. It was really cool to see inside how everything worked and like the formalities of the meetings. I've never been a part of something like that, and it was really cool. So thank you.
And thank you again. And I think that today that the strike was able to give you a presentation of a token of our appreciation. Is that correct?
Yes, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, great. The other item that I would like to bring up is that last week, I hate to always apologize, but I failed to recognize a board member who wanted to volunteer for one of the committees. And so at this point, I would like to appoint Dave Radel to the Facilities Committee. Again, accept my apology for not being right on top of things, David, but you know, it'll work out well. And we do have a meeting scheduled. I believe it's on Wednesday. That we can get together as the Facilities Committee. So I think the next item on the agenda then would be a report from the treasurer.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, good. I'm going to speak on behalf of the Policy Committee, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Is that where we are? Okay. The Policy Committee met on Wednesday, May 6th, and we reviewed Neola's recommendations for annual updates of our policies to align with state statutes. And in attendance was Amy, myself, and Pam. And if you looked at the list, there's quite a few policies that we reviewed, probably 50 or so. Didn't go into a lot of detail of all of them, but I'll just make a few highlights. I don't have my computer in front of me to see, but for those on the board, if you go into the draft area, the very top one gives explanation and comments. So for each of the policies that was updated, they actually summarize what the changes are. So if you're interested in reading for all 40 or 50 policies, you can kind of go through that, kind of a simplified summary of the changes. But a couple that I'll note, one is regarding special meetings and cleaning up language. And that's really what a lot of this was. There wasn't many new policies. It was more a matter of just changing some language. Is Pam out there? Pam, do you want me to go through these? How
No,
much detail?
it's just highlighting some of the things. I think that you're right. It started off with there are policy updates related to pandemics and epidemics that we wanted to clarify how these virtual meetings. I think that, do you want, I have a very color-coded sheet here. Do you want me to go through some of the highlights?
I could summarize the ones that we kind of made note of. I didn't know how much detail, but I can go through some of those.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, cleaning up some language, the special meetings policy 0164.2, just having to do with 24-hour notice. Curriculum development policy 2210, more up to date and replaces our current curriculum policy and making the language more consistent with Neola format. Policy 2271, the Start College Now program. This was just a clarification. Apparently the Start College Now program is the Madison College portion of the what used to be known as youth options. And there's also the early college credit program for four-year institutions. And what this policy update was the addition with the Madison College program that if a student failed the course that the school district paid for the student to take at Madison College, the student would be liable for reimbursing the district for that cost. That is already in for the early college credit for the four-year schools. So this was just cleaning up that oversight. Policy updates about drug-free workplace. Staff handbook needs to include some of these updates, talking a little bit about legalizing THC in other states that are adjacent to Wisconsin, even though Wisconsin does not have legalized marijuana or THC, and updating the policy, which is in the staff handbook about the drug-free workplace policy. We also had an update 5330, which is related to prescription of medication and distribution of medications from the school, from the district. And as per the school nurse for the district, we will not make a change to the existing Neola policy, and we'll keep the policy as the school currently has it. So that is the administration of medications policy. A couple more. There's an update to the student anti-harassment policy 5517, just clarifying timelines and how timely reports need to be made. Also includes language on what they call boundary invasions or grooming, as well as complaints that may not have actions but may warrant anti-bullying policy implications. Video surveillance, I'm almost done. 7440. Apparently the cameras that we have in the school do not have audio, but the cameras on the buses have both audio and visual. And so we needed to update the policy to make it known that the audio recording is being used, so that if there's any video that's captured, it can be used, because people also have to be aware that the audio is also there, especially in the buses. Policy 8390 about animals on district property. And they make a distinction here between emotional support animals and service animals. And while service animals are welcome on school grounds and throughout the district, animals that meet the definition of emotional support animals only apparently do not. And we needed to clarify that policy. And as Pam mentioned earlier, there was also a new policy regarding, or an updated policy on epidemics and pandemics. So some modifications to that. And lastly, policy 6616, having to do with federal funding related to pandemics and employee compensation. So this is the first reading of the policies, and the board is just directed to take a look at those. And I believe we'll be voting on these policy changes at an upcoming meeting, maybe our next meeting. Questions? All right.
Thank you. That took me about an hour and a half when I said that to you guys. So that's good.
There's a lot, and that's just the short list, right? So, policies.
Oh, we lost Bob.
No, we lost that.
Oh, shoot.
Okay. Well, let's go on with correspondence from Mr. Radel.
We received two pieces of correspondence, both thank yous. The first is a thank you letter from the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, thanking us as a district for hosting student teachers over this past semester. And the other was a thank you letter from Darla Bailing, who retired as an administrative assistant at the elementary school. And I think I'll read Darla's just because it was so nicely. But I would like to thank you for the opportunity I was given to serve my community and families over the last 20 years. I am proud of the job I did and will have lasting memories and have made many friendships. Thank you for the gift upon my retirement. It will be something that I will enjoy for years to come. Sincerely, Darla Bailey. So those were our pieces of correspondence.
As long as we're not in any action items and we're still administrative reports, I think we can move on until Bob pops back in here. So Ms. Amanda Thompson, if you'd like to give us an update on what's happening.
He's back.
Oh. Bob, can you hear us? Oh, great. Bob, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay, so Amanda Thompson is just starting her presentation.
All right, so I just wanted to give you a quick update on how virtual learning is going for the district. The last time I presented to you, we had just finished up a parent survey. And so this is the second parent survey that we sent out. We had asked virtual learning is and how's it going for their child. So too easy, just right, or overwhelming. And you can see for all schools, most of our responses were in the just right category. And that was replicated in each of the three buildings. The second question we asked is about parent or guardian. Virtual learning is just right, almost there, or overwhelming. And if you look at our overall response for all schools, most of our responses were in the just right category. And that was also replicated across the three buildings. Communication, those same questions, is it just right, not enough, or too much? And most of our respondents said that it was just right. So from there, all of the information that we're hearing from our students, our parents from the survey, and then teachers, and we made a couple of adjustments, just slight adjustments to help our students. So we reduced the workload at all three levels just slightly, just a little bit at each level. We created consistent due dates at the middle school and at the high school. The middle school worked together to have a consistent format for their Google Classroom. That was one of the pieces of feedback that we had from both students and the parent survey, that if it was more consistent from teacher to teacher, that would be helpful. We are continuing to provide support for our students and families through our pupil service team, and continue to add resources to that webpage. And then towards the end of the year, we will be providing some professional development for all of our staff to develop, not really develop, but highlight essential learning targets from their curriculum that they would have, that they taught during fourth quarter, and make sure that we communicate that to next year's teachers, so that as we hit the ground running in September, we'll know what those learning targets are and have a plan, make sure that all students know and are able to meet those targets. Any questions?
Oh, good job.
Okay, Nate Grundle is here tonight to talk with us about summer school.
Hi, everyone. So just an update on summer school. It is a fast-moving, I don't know how you put it. Everything keeps changing with the rules on summer school. So on May 5th, there's an emergency rule that expanded virtual summer school to K-6. So we have the option of doing K-6 virtual school for those students. And then K-12, we've always had 7 through 12 to do virtual school for credit recovery and things like that. So what does that emergency rule mean? It means that we're going to continue to look at our options of what June looks like for summer school. Right now, I'm working with the teachers to see what courses can be moved into a virtual format for summer school, not knowing what July will look like with some of the regulations we'll have in place for school and students coming back. So right now, we're working with our teachers. We have plans to poll the community and see students what they want out of a summer school program. It's probably going to look a little bit different in June if we do June than it would a typical summer school year. I've talked with other districts and what they're doing. Some districts are scaling back their summer school programs. Some are pushing it back and starting in July and going into August. There's a lot of options out there. Right now, we're really waiting for Department of Public Instruction to give us some guidance on what will attendance look like and minutes for summer school. And so once we have that information, hopefully have that this week, we can start making some decisions and moving in one direction or another. Any questions?
Bob,
Bob, I think your mic is mute.
It doesn't show up as me. So Steve Considine, what? Yeah, we can't hear you, Bob. Steve, do you want to go ahead with your athletic report?
I know the aluminum foil fell off the rabbit ears.
Oh, there you go. Yay.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, but I'm back. Thank you very much, Nate. Mr. Considine?
Yeah, so it's been a crazy spring. The first thing I wanted to do was thank the board for continuing to pay our coaches. One of the things that I asked our coaches to do was daily contact with all of their players, which they've been doing. It's different for how the coaches are doing it. Some are sending them daily challenges, which stay within the Safer at Home challenge. Some of them have created Google Classrooms, but they're really doing a good job. Some have been attending virtual conferences. So I just said, better your program as you can do. So they're doing a great job and not taking that pay lightly. So that's kind of my first thank you. And then with that, the WIA allowed for 30 contact days starting July 1st if the Safer at Home restriction is lifted for spring sports. A lot of conferences and a lot of schools decided not to allow any contact during those 30 days. We sat down with all the coaches, I guess, in a virtual meeting. And what we decided to do was try to put together a calendar the best that we could, that every coach was able to get the amount of contact that they wanted. And we didn't have any overlap between programs so that the players could go to as many as they felt necessary. So attached in the board docs, you can see that calendar, and it's not complete. There's going to be some changes. A lot of it was for facilities, but again, we just wanted to make sure there was no overlap so that 3-sport athlete could still get to all their sports. I did make the decision that starting August 1st, we were kind of turning the page on the 2020 spring season. The reason being for that is the fall sports, especially football, volleyball, tennis, all of those sports are starting early in August. And we didn't, we wanted to kind of move in. A lot of our seniors are going to college, so we didn't want that to impede into our new school year into August. Obviously, if the safer at home stuff isn't lifted and there's restrictions, we'll revise our calendar. But all the coaches were really flexible. And like I said, everybody was given the days that they wanted. And then the last thing on there for the board docs for us is the WIAA Award of Excellence, which our athletic department, now that the spring season was over or canceled, we did hit every box or check mark on that. So once Mr. D'Imperio signs that, we will turn that in with the WIAA and we'll get that award. Any questions?
Okay, well, thank you very much, Mr. Considine. And Mr. Vogel.
Hello. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yes. Okay. I want to say, first I want to give thanks to Steve, Mr. Considine, for getting that done with the WA Award of Excellence. It was one of the first things I think I remember doing. We're going with him into our regional meeting in the fall, and I saw a couple schools from our district up there getting the award. And I turned to him and I said, yeah, we need that this year. So he got that done. So congrats, Steve, and the kids were involved and helped him out with that. Just a couple of things that I had. Number one, I did have hopefully the first reading of our student handbook, just a couple changes there. Mostly attending or focusing on attendance regulations with absences and tardies, and some stuff from Tony as far as immunizations and medication. And then one little more clarification on our consequences for our cell phone policy that's in our handbook. Those are all in that document that's attached. Number two, I wanted to talk about graduation for our current class, 2020. We talked as admin in great lengths about this. We really needed to get some student feedback though on the seniors, And I want to preface this that we're trying to do things to try to make up for what they've lost, right? I think we can all agree that they've lost a lot. We did send out a survey about graduation, a number of questions on there. It was pretty evident that, it wasn't a surprise that they would like a traditional ceremony as much as possible. Now, in reality, that might be difficult, but again, things change on a daily basis here in the country and in the state of Wisconsin. So we thought the ability to move it, the original date for graduation was May 31st. I think we owe it to the seniors to try. So we were looking at a date in July 19th, as would be our graduation day, with a lot of details to follow, depending on what the rules and regulations are come July. We didn't really want to get into August because of, we have to eventually close this school year 2020 eventually, and with our seniors moving on, it seemed like August was pretty late in the game. So we're going to go with July 19th based upon the student responses, and then July 19th is the date. So depending on what the regulations and guidelines are at that time in the state of Wisconsin, we'll adapt and or build our graduation ceremony from those guidelines from the state. and from the Health and Human Services for Wisconsin. You know, and I wanted to have you guys hear it first. You know, I'd like to get that information to our senior parents and students, hopefully tomorrow, if you guys are in agreement or think that's a good idea.
So are there any questions or concerns?
Oh, I think that's a great plan.
So, so we're gonna wait and let them know, you know, what the guidelines are, like masks, social distancing, all of that, when it gets closer.
Yes.
Okay.
What I want to get to them immediately is the date, July 19th.
Gotcha.
Well, Mr. Vogel, it sounds like you have a green light.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
Ms. Brockert.
Just a couple things to highlight. One is I want to make sure I let you know that our food service program is doing very well. We range from serving 520 meals to 620 meals. So the community is very grateful that we are providing that program. And again, we're doing it Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. Most week we will change the schedule a little bit the week of Memorial Day because of Memorial Day being on Monday, but we're making sure the Friday before those students get a meal for Friday as well as Monday the following week. And then we're going to do Tuesdays with 2 meals and Thursday with 2 meals. So just a little bump adjustment in that schedule. And we do plan on providing the meals through June 30th. We adjusted our contract with the DPI so that we could extend it beyond June 5th. So that is our plan currently. In a different area that I work with, the technology, Chris Zerniak and I have been working with applying for technology funding through the E-rate program. USAC is the administrative component part to that. So we're looking at redoing some fiber in the high school and the wiring and components for our outdoor facility as part of that funding. And we did our firewall, which is our normal annual thing, as well as the internet. We did receive already confirmation for the firewall services, but I'm hoping within the next few weeks we'll receive confirmation of everything. Regardless if we get funding or not, we have to do the outdoor facility wiring pieces and the components, which is switches and access points for out there, so that we have everything functional there by the start of the fall season. So that we have scheduled to take place in early July. And then the other piece, again, a different hat, the HR hat, is we are right now in the midst of open enrollment for our insurance benefits. People were provided information on Friday, and the open enrollment closes on Wednesday, May 20th. So this is the one time they have an opportunity to switch health insurance plans or to get into the plan, the different health, dental, vision insurance plans. So that's all I have.
Any questions for Ms. Brockert? Okay, Ms. Strike.
First of all, I wanted to, a week late, but remind everyone that last week was Staff Appreciation Week, and we celebrated that very well here in Lake Mills. So thanks to the PTO at the elementary school and all of our community donors and all of the buildings in particular for honoring the staff. I think this year more than ever, since we can't be together, those tokens of our appreciation were needed and very, very well received. So, and you know, we call it Staff Appreciation Week, so it's everyone. It's custodians, crossing guards, food service. It's all of our employees. And so, just again, our heartfelt thanks for the work now and every day, but especially in this very trying time. Attached to my report tonight, you're also going to see some information from the rec department. Just one note from the rec department, we are moving forward in steps to start to talk about kind of integrating with the Rock Lake Activity Center. So there's some background work in going on right now at that point, and that information is contained there. I do want to get to kind of the bulk of my report tonight, and it looks overwhelming, and it's only 28 pages, but it is the updates to the employee handbook. So the process is, it began a year ago, and as Wendy and I present to all the employee groups, we make notes of their questions or concerns throughout the year. Whenever a question comes up, we tag our handbooks, and so we make sure to look at what needs to be clarified, where there's a typo, any of those kinds of things. And then about 2 months ago, we got together and we just went through the whole entire handbook and looked at what needed editorial changes, what needed technical changes, and then we combined all that. And for the first time, I believe, and I checked with Dean Sanders, I think this is true, for the first time since the handbook has been originally written, Bob Butler, our school attorney, took a look at the whole entire handbook. That was pretty scary for me because each year we make all of these changes to that original document, and we've never had a fresh set of eyes look at it to see what we have created in the last 7 years. So I think we did okay. I think that you're going to see a great deal of the edits to the handbook are simply wording from Bob Butler. And so you have a summary of all of the changes, and then after it, if it says per Bob Butler, that's exactly what it is. It doesn't change intent or content. It is just really updating legislative terminology or any kinds of words. There's not any fundamental changes to kind of the spirit of the handbook. So as you kind of just walk through the changes, I wanted to highlight just a few things. There is, of course, already some additions for distance and virtual learning. So we are very timely in this, and so you'll see some references to that. A major change that came from within, from us, would be liquidated damages. And this appears on page 82 and 95 of the handbook. And this refers to when teachers sign a contract and then resign. And we have upped the fees or the liquidated damages when someone breaks their contract based on our experience of this last year, which was unique to us, that teachers left within the year, because it creates an incredible hardship on the district when someone leaves once the year has begun. So we have recommended in here that if someone would break their contract after July 1st, but before the start of the year, there would be a fee of $750. And then if they would resign after the start of the year, that would go to $1,500. The reason for these costs, we are hiring subs, we are going through the interview process, the posting process, all of that again, and we do incur a great deal of expense when we have to do that, especially that late in the year. So that is a change that came from within. There is some changes to fees, or excuse me, like compensation for some of the different co-curriculars that are posted there. And then there are reference changes saying that a lot of, in the past when you had filled out a form, we do that electronically now, so there are references to that as well. So what I would ask of the board is if you could take a look at the summary that's attached. And then if you wanted to tackle the whole beast, the employee handbook is attached to your board agenda as well. We've gotten it down to about
130-ish.
130 pages. So if you would like to read every word of it, it's there as well. And then as you review that, if you want to ask me any questions or comments or anything, I'd be happy to do that. We'll consider this the first reading for these changes, and we will vote on that at the June meeting. All right. Okay.
Any question? Okay, hearing none, we can move to the community input. Is there anyone who is registered for public input?
Someone had contacted me, but he is not present, so nope, I do not have anyone.
Okay, then we can move to the consent agenda. And as noted earlier, there was no interest in removing any of the items. Specifically, that agenda includes approval of the April 13th regular Board of Education meeting minutes, approval of the April 13th Finance Committee proceedings, approval of the April 27th Special Board of Education meeting minutes, approval of the May 6th Policy Committee proceedings, approval of vouchers and invoices, approval of the treasurer's report, approval of co-curricular letter of resignation, approval of support staff letter of resignation. So I would entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
I move the board approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or comments? May we have a roll call vote, please?
Rachel Davies.
Aye.
John Delaney.
Aye.
Amy Litchell. Aye. David Rado.
Aye.
Robert D'Imperio.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. We're moving into the action items. Approval of professional staff resignation for the 2020-2021 school year.
This resignation is from Ms. Steffens, and you'll probably say, we don't know who that is. That's because you just hired her last month for a math position at the middle school, and we received her resignation this last week.
So entertain a motion.
I move the board, I move the board approve the professional staff resignation of Ms. Haley Steffens, middle school math teacher for the 2020-2021 school year.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Do we have any questions or comments? Hearing none, may we please have a roll call vote?
John Delaney.
Aye.
Amy Litchard. Aye. David Rado.
Aye.
Rachel Davies.
Aye.
Robert D'Imperio.
Aye. The next item is approval of co-curricular letter of resignation.
Wait, I think we're on B.
Professional staff.
Professional staff contracts.
What? Yeah, there we go.
So the professional staff contracts, it is the composite list of all of the teachers and other professionals for the year that's listed out every year at this time. We approve that list in mass, and then after your approval, then those contracts are created and submitted to staff to be returned in June.
I move the board approve the professional staff contract as presented for the 2020-2021 school year.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions? Comments? Hearing none, a roll call vote, please.
Amy Litchard. Aye. David Rado.
Abstain.
Rachel Davies.
Aye.
John Delaney.
Aye.
Robert D'Imperio.
Aye. The next item is approval of new professional staff contracts for the 2020 through 2021 school year.
So our work does continue, and we have been interviewing virtually for the last few weeks. First interviews, second interviews, contract negotiations. It's really been an exciting time that extended to about 2 hours ago. So this is a list. And so on this list, you will see, again, a creative solution to our reading specialist position. It was decided that, Jen Nichols, who had been our reading specialist, had resigned, but had offered to us that she might be willing to work part-time. We went ahead and posted for a full-time reading specialist, and in that process, they discovered Ms. Michelle Cook from here in Lake Mills, who is a reading interventionist, not necessarily, and she had her license to be a reading specialist, but hadn't been in that role. So we were able to bring Jen Nichols back part-time and bring in Michelle Cook. And so actually in the process of that, really picked up some exceptional services for kids through that almost kind of a job share. So you'll see that. Then you'll see the addition of, or not the addition, the replacement of 2 special education teachers. And then we were also able to secure a English language coordinator / teacher position that's often called ELL. And we were able to find a candidate for that position too, who is bilingual.
I move the board approve the following professional staff contracts to Ms. Michelle Cook, 80% reading interventionist, Ms. Jennifer Nichols, 40% district reading specialist, Ms. Rachel Strauss, middle school special education, Ms. Erin Karras, elementary school special education, Ms. Jen Nosh, English language coordinator teacher, and welcome them to the Lake Mills Area School District.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Can I have a roll call vote, please?
David Radel,
Aye.
Rachel Davies,
Aye.
Don Delaney,
Aye.
Amy Litcher. Aye. Robert D'Imperio.
Aye. Motion carries. The next item is approval of co-curricular letters of assignment for the 2020-2021 school year.
You'll see there are 2 lists attached here. There are the coaches that we have secured already for next year, and then all of the co-curricular positions.
I move the board approve the co-curricular letters of assignment as presented for this 2020-2021 school year.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions? May we have a roll call vote, please?
Rachel Davies,
Aye.
Don Delaney,
Aye.
Amy Litcher.
Aye.
David Radel,
Abstain.
Robert D'Imperio.
Aye. Motion carries. The next item is the approval of support staff letters of assignment for the 2020-2021 school year.
And then this is the remainder of the staff to be hired for next year, and their letters, they're rather than contract, they're called letters of assignment at this point.
I move the board approve the support staff letters of assignment as presented for the 2020-2021 school year.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions? Roll call vote, please.
Rachel Davies,
Aye.
Don Delaney,
Abstain.
Amy Litcher. Aye. David Radel,
Aye.
Robert D'Imperio.
Aye. Motion carries. The next item is approval of the WIA membership for the 2020-2021 school year.
This is the contract that we pass every year at this time. And you'll see that at this point, the membership is continues to be $0.
I move the board approve the WIAA membership for the 2020-2021 school year.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions? Hearing none, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Don Delaney,
Aye.
Amy Litcher. Aye. David Radel,
Aye.
Rachel Davies,
Aye.
Robert D'Imperio.
Aye. The next item is approval of the flexible spending account, dependent care account, and health reimbursement arrangement account. I think we discussed this during the finance committee. Is there any other comments that we need at this point, or can we entertain a motion?
I move the board, go ahead. I move the board approve the flexible spending account, dependent care account, and the health reimbursement arrangement account with Get More Consolidate for the 2020-2021 school year.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Comments or questions? Hearing none, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Amy Litcher,
Aye.
David Radel,
Abstain.
Rachel Davies,
Aye.
Don Delaney,
Abstain?
Robert D'Imperio,
Aye. Motion carries 3-0 with 2 abstentions. The next item is the approval of the CISA 2 contracts for the 2020-2021 school year.
This is the list of services that we purchase from CISA 2 each year, and Melissa Brown is available if you have any questions about that. These are the typical services that we purchase each year.
I move the board approve the CISA 2 contracts as presented for the 2020-2021 school year.
Second?
Okay, moved and seconded. Questions? Roll call vote, please.
David Radel,
Aye.
Rachel Davies,
Aye.
Don Delaney,
Aye.
Amy Litcher,
Aye.
Robert D'Imperio,
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. The next is the approval of the student dues and fees for the 2020-2021 school year. And again, this was discussed in the finance committee. So we'd entertain a motion.
I move the
I move
board approve the student dues and fees for the 2020-2021 school year as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Further questions or comments? Roll call vote, please.
Rachel Davies,
Aye.
Don Delaney,
Aye.
Amy Litcher,
Aye.
David Radel,
Aye.
Robert D'Imperio,
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. The next item is approval to waive the senior portfolio interviews pursuant to policy 5460 for the class of 2020.
So based on our current situation, the seniors did complete their portfolios. They were due just around the time that we ended our time here in the school together. So all of the portfolios have been reviewed by 2 reviewers. They have extensive comments. They will be returned to the students this week. And there is a portion of our graduation policies that specifically said that there's an interview. And we just do not think that that is doable in this situation. So we would ask that you waive that for that graduation requirement for just the class of 2020.
I move the board waive the requirement of a portfolio interview in policy 5460 for the class of 2020.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Comments or questions?
I just want to say, I've done it for several years, and I know many of us have, and I was really looking forward to the opportunity to talk to the students that I have been assigned, and I will miss that. But I have no doubt that all these students will go on to do some exceptional things.
Yes, I too had an opportunity to review portfolios and was very much impressed with the overall quality of the work that was presented, and was looking forward to personally meeting those students. But so do we have a motion on the floor? May I have a roll call vote, please?
Don Delaney,
Aye.
Amy Litcher,
Aye.
David Radel,
Aye.
Rachel Davies,
Aye.
Robert D'Imperio,
Aye. The next item on the agenda is approval of ceiling work in the high school at the lower level. This is primarily driven by the ongoing fire sprinkler work, which is a part of the referendum. So I would entertain a motion for its approval.
I move the board accept the high school ceiling tile bid from Badger Acoustics, Inc., McFarland, Wisconsin for $18,465. I just go to the second one. I move the board accept the high school ceiling tile electrical bid from Midwest Electric LLC, Johnson Creek, Wisconsin, for $15,642.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Again, this item was discussed in the Finance Committee. Are there any additional comments or questions? Hearing none, do we have a roll call vote, please?
Amy Litcher.
Aye.
Rachel Davies.
Aye.
Don Delaney.
Aye.
David Rado.
Aye.
Robert Timperio.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. The next item is the approval of bids for replacement of fence at the middle school. This again was discussed in the Finance Committee, and I would entertain a motion for its approval.
I move the board accept the middle school fence bid from Lemke Fence, Jefferson, Wisconsin, in the amount of $9,877.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, a roll call vote, please.
David Rado.
Aye.
Rachel Davies.
Aye.
Don Delaney.
Aye.
Amy Litcher.
Aye.
Robert Timperio.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. And the last item for action is the approval of gifts. And this is always a very gratifying time. So if we have a motion for accepting of the gifts that have been received this month.
I move the board accept the following gifts and thank the generous donor for the continued support of the students and programs of the Lake Mills Area School District. A donation of $150 from the Tyranina Ladies Club to the elementary school's garden program. An anonymous donation of $190 to the Family Connections Fund. An anonymous donation of $212 to the Family Connections Fund. A donation of $350 from the Tyranina Ladies Club to the elementary school's kindness program. A donation of $1,000 from the Lake Mills Rotary Club for pandemic resources. The Smarter Thinking Micro Grant Award for $1,000 from CISA 6 to the Special Education Department. A donation from Vita Plus of 1,333 packages of cheese curds valued at $1,000 for the Grab and Go meal program. And finally, a donation from Crystal Farms of 120 Nibbler cases valued at $1,756.76 for the Grab and Go meal program. Whew.
Second.
Nice.
Moved and seconded.
Very nice.
And again, very, very impressive.
Yes. Big thanks to our community.
Mhm.
So our thanks to the donors and a roll call vote, please.
Rachel Davies.
Aye.
Don Delaney.
Aye.
Amy Litcher. Aye. David Rado.
Aye.
Robert Timperio.
Aye. Motion carries. Future agenda items.
So I'm planning for the June meeting, there may be a need for an extra meeting in June, but at the first June meeting, we will have the vote on those policy updates. We will have the approval of the handbook, so if you take those edits. And then also a vote on the high school handbook that Mr. Vogel shared with you this evening.
Okay. Before I entertain a motion for adjournment, I want to apologize for fading in and out several times. But it looks like, you guys carried on very well. A motion for adjournment.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you very much.